Hi everyone, welcome again to Bake Your Way Kitchen. I'm really excited to bring you this delicious cheesecake recipe. It is very rich, so so this is definitely something for a special occasion, but it is absolutely phenomenal. It is a peanut butter cheesecake. Now, I don't use as much peanut butter as some other peanut butter cheesecake recipes because I do find if you add more than half a cup of peanut butter, that is just insane. Too much with the cream cheese and everything else. So this is a special treat, but once there's occasions for it, it's great to have. And it's so easy to make. This is technically a no-bake cheesecake, although you can bake the crust. So basically what I mean, the filling is no-bake, but the crust, in order to set it, you either need to put it in the freezer for about 30 minutes or put it in the oven for about 10 minutes. So I'm going to be partially baking this cheesecake, but it technically is a no-bake cheesecake if you want. So what I've got here is some graham cracker crumbs, and I had a lady finger or two to use up, so there's one in there too. And not a real lady finger, but lady finger biscuit, just to be absolutely clear here. So what you're going to want to do is basically put your graham cracker mixture. First of all, what you do is you get your graham crackers, you put them in a Ziploc bag, and using a meat grinder piece here, I'll just show you what they look like. Something like this works. You just bang it until you get this. Very important to note though, if you have like a granite counter or a very delicate counter, be sure to be doing this on another surface because you don't want to crack. If you have a granite counter, that could be a real hazard, so just be very careful there. So you're going to want to take that mixture. This is about 110 grams, I would say. And I've got here about 30 grams, a couple tablespoons, at least 3 tablespoons here of oats. Actually, sorry, that's 4 tablespoons. And I'll give this a quick whisk, and as you know, I always seem to forget having the utensils out. And anyway, so I've got here about 4.5 tablespoons of melted butter. Now the weird thing about this stuff is that you might need a little more, you might need a little less. It's really, this is about 4 tablespoons, so I'm going to see if this will last us. And what we're looking for our base here is so that all the crumbs are moistened. That's what we're looking for. And if you need to, you can feel free to add more butter. And see if I can get a little bit more out here. This should be good enough. So then you're going to pour it into a springform pan. Now I'm using a 9-inch springform pan. I usually make this in an 8-inch springform pan, but I don't have mine available. It's kind of a long story, but long story short, I don't have it. So I'm doing this in a 9-inch springform pan that I have greased. And what I'm going to do is spread it out, and using my hands, you can use kind of like your fist, you want to uniformly spread the base of this cheesecake so that it's even. And as you can see, I've done that. So the thing about, if you want to do a larger one, like if you want to do this in a springform pan, the slices will be thinner. Maybe you want that because it is very rich, so you might want to cut them in small pieces. Then this would be a great option for you, using a 9-inch. So you can either use an 8 or a 9-inch. I wouldn't recommend a 10-inch. I don't think that would work well, but an 8 or a 9-inch will do. So as you can see here, I've got my base layer here, and that's done. That's all that's needed. Now what we need to do is let it set. So I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to put this in the oven, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's set. So now while our base is in the oven, I figure we can get going on our filling, which is very, very simple. The no-bake filling is very simple. Now, first of all, you want cream cheese that is at room temperature, or like if you put your fingerprints in it, it will, like, it bends down like that. If it's too firm and you can't press lightly your fingerprints down, you know it's too hard. And we need the cream cheese to be very creamy, so that's why it's important. So now what I'm going to do, before I add anything else, I've got a few other ingredients here that I'll talk about in a minute. We're going to beat this and cream it for about a minute or two until it's nice and smooth. Alright, so now our cream cheese has been creamed for a bit. What I've got here in my hand is a can of sweetened condensed milk. Now I know it does differ a little bit in the United States, the amount. In Canada, where I'm from, this is a 300 milliliter. That's probably about, I'm really not great at ounces, but look up 300 milliliters. I know the US cans might be a little bit bigger. That's okay, you can use them, because I know their standard size is a little bit different. So you're going to need 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. Yes, in with cream cheese. Not as if it isn't sweet enough. As if it's not rich enough. There we go. And it's making a mess all over my hands. Stuff is amazing. So this is, we're not adding any other sugars. The sweetened condensed milk is obviously sweet enough, so don't need to worry about that. So we're going to incorporate that, scrape down our sides first with our cream cheese. And what we're going to do is mix this until it is fully incorporated. Alright, so now our mixture here, you can see it's very runny at this point. It's going to thicken up because we are going to be adding in some peanut butter as well. And yeah, so what I've got here, I've got about 100 grams of peanut butter. Now that's kind of in between 1/3 of a cup and 1/2 of a cup. You can kind of adjust to your likings. You could add up to 1/2 a cup, which is 120 grams, or as little as 80 grams. You can add really up to 1/2 a cup, I would say. I mean, generally I've seen a lot of recipes call for like 1/3 of 3/4 of a cup or 1 cup, but I think that's over the top. I think that from making this in the past, I can tell you that 100 grams is plenty, and you really don't need any more than that. So we're going to add that in. As well, now that we're at it, I'm going to add in a few teaspoons of vanilla, because you know I love vanilla. You could leave that out if you don't want it. Some salt. And what I've got here is some lemons, and they're already cut because I've used them before, obviously. And what I like to do is just making sure we don't get any seeds in it, but get a few teaspoons, 2 to 3 teaspoons of lemon juice, and this will kind of offset a bit of that sharp richness and the sweetness of it. Lemons really do go a long way, and they always work well, obviously, in a cheesecake. You can, if you want, add some orange zest, lemon zest at this point. For now, I'm going to leave it like that. I don't want too much of a lemon flavor, so that's good enough for me. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this together. So now, the only other things you see out here are the walnuts and the chocolate, and then I've also got slices of bananas, but those are going to be for the topping. So I'm going to mix this together, clean up, show you the base, and assemble. My base is out of the oven, and it has set, so that's exactly what we want. And I've got my peanut butter cream cheese filling there. Now, you could just end it there, but I'm actually going to add a little bit of crunch, and some might kind of find this a weird thing to add, but I'm going to be adding in a rice puff type of cereal from Kashi. This is about, you can use up 1/3 or 1/2 of a cup. I just like to add a little bit more than just that filling. So just give it a mix till it's combined. There we go. So now we're good to go. This is a bit more of a runny batter compared to most cheesecake recipes, but that's completely normal. It will need several hours to chill. I would preferably overnight would be best, but you could serve this probably as early as, I mean, if you were on a real crunch, you could technically put this in the freezer for maybe 2 hours 3 hours and then just leave it out for 20 minutes before serving. That might work. I haven't done it that way, but I usually keep it in the fridge overnight because that just works best. So I've got my base layer here, and so what I'm going to do is spread our filling over the top here, and doesn't this just look amazing? It's incredible how delicious this looks. Go. And you're just going to want to, with an offset spatula or a knife, evenly spread everything out. Alright, so I'm going to put this in the fridge for several hours, or you could put it in the freezer if you prefer. What I did add, and this is optional of course, is just some toasted walnuts right on the top there. And you can completely leave that out, that's fine. Now, just to explain, when you take this out, you can serve it as is, or what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you how, basically what I'm going to do about halfway through the freezing or the chilling process in the fridge, I'm going to take the cheesecake out and add slices of bananas around the exterior of the cheesecake. And we're going to put it back in the fridge. So when I come out, you'll see slices of bananas. That's how it's supposed to be. And then after the bananas, when we take it out for the final time, we're going to add a dusting of cinnamon and some chocolate. So be sure to stay for that. I'm going to put this in, and I'll be right back. As you can see, our cheesecake is pretty much done. But I decided, you know what? There's something missing here. What's missing here? We got the walnuts, we got the peanut butter, we got the bananas, and what do all three of those things go well with? Some chocolate. So this doesn't need to be fancy, and I'm not making it fancy. So right after it's set, you're going to put this in the fridge for another 10 minutes after we add melted chocolate, and I've got about an ounce or ounce and a quarter, about 30 grams, 35 grams. And you don't need a whole lot. What we're just doing is kind of trying to do a trickle effect, as you can see, and you just need a spoon. And see, just do a little jiggle, and look how fancy it looks. You can kind of do whatever. And then as soon as you get low, you can use a spatula, and you can see on one side it's already firming up, so it firms up almost instantly, but I still give it a little extra chill for another few minutes. And I'll show you a piece what it looks like. I am going to be bringing this somewhere, so unfortunately I won't be able to take a taste, but I will tell you how it is. I'll give you my impression. I've done this recipe before, but I've adapted it a little bit by adding the oats, doing the chocolate and the walnuts. So that's pretty good. And look, you can see how fast it sets because this cheesecake is thoroughly chilled. It's very cold. I would recommend after you add the slices of banana that you put it in the freezer. You put the cheesecake in the freezer for at least 30 or 40 minutes. Reason being, because the banana slices are exposed, if you keep them fresh in the fridge, it's not cold enough, they'll go brown. And you're forced to add lemon juice over the top, and that will kind of unbalance the flavors going on here. So this is the cheesecake, what it looks like. I'll show you some pictures when it's out of the springform pan, just in case you're wondering if you're using a springform pan for the first time. There's a few tricks to doing it. I can't actually do it because it still needs a little bit more time, but what you do is you undo the lever here, and then the bottom will pop up using your hand, and you will let the ring go down your arm, and that's how you take it out of the springform pan. And I would just recommend, if you can, like run a knife around it just to make sure that there's nothing sticking. So this is it. This is our peanut butter cheesecake with banana slices, walnuts, and drizzle of chocolate. Can it get any more supreme than that? I hope you give this recipe a try. Head over to bakeyourway.com for more. Please let me know what you think of this recipe. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.